Hey everybody, welcome to another video here on the G1 Project TV on YouTube. I really appreciate you taking the time to tune in to this video. Thank you. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. And please think about subscribing. We love to have you. Love to see you in the comments. Today's video is going to be pretty interesting. We're going to talk about the mystery guitar at Guitar Center that I saw on that last trip this past Sunday. Now, is it truly a mystery guitar? Well, yes and no. We know that it's a Fender Strat, of course, but all the little fine details I just didn't know. So when I went, if you haven't seen what I'm talking about, I did a video this past Sunday at Guitar Center revisiting the Guitar Center in Greenville, South Carolina, which is the closest location to where I live. We got some up top. It's a nice Fender Strat right there. I like that. 969. That ain't bad, man. And as I went in, I was browsing around, window shopping, and I made my way over to the used section. And on the top hooks up there was a Fender Strat. Very nice Fender Strat, I may add. So, but I just didn't know, you know, all the details about it. What's the year? Is it made in Mexico? Is it American? I don't know. You know, I couldn't make out the tag, and I really didn't feel like asking anybody to get a ladder and get it off the hook. And I just, you know, but the one thing that always catches me with a guitar, and I've said this before, is the color. And I've always been a big fan of the Tobacco Sunburst. You know, I guess you call it the two-tone Tobacco Sunburst. I just really like that color. It's always appealed to me. I think it looks really good on a Strat. So that was the first thing that caught my eye. Speaking of Guitar Center, I'm sitting here making this video and a notification popped up on my phone from Guitar Center. I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, I like the two-tone Sunburst. I just think it looks really, really good. Really classy, you know. So, look, I have bought plenty of guitars through the years. I've sold plenty of guitars through the years. And, you know, like I said, at one point I've had 80 guitars, and some of those were really nice. Some were okay, and some quite a few of them are what I call mid-tier guitars. So, you know, they're all right. You know, they work fine for me. I'm not one of those that is going to have a bunch of high-priced instruments. I'm just, you know, just nothing wrong with that. I'm just not going to do that. So what I wanted to do was do some more research on that Strat. So late last night, I decided to do a quick Google search because I figured that would be the quickest way to narrow down what I was looking for. So I went on Google and I put used Fender Stratocasters at Guitar Center in Greenville, South Carolina. And sure enough, to my surprise, boom, you know, it popped up a lot of other things. I have to say that as well. And sure enough, it popped up and it said, pick up tomorrow. And I said, oh, well, that's got to be the Guitar Center at the house. So I tapped on it, and sure enough, it was that guitar. According to the listing that I read, and I went ahead and went on their site, I want to say it's a Fender 2011 American Strat. So that guitar is just, you know, 14 years old, and it says it's in excellent condition. I think great or excellent, one of those. But so my next little investigation, I guess you could say, was I went on Reverb and I typed in 2011 Fender American Strat. I didn't type in I just typed in that. I didn't type in Sunburst or nothing like that. So I want to say, from my research, there was about just under 70 results. And all the ones that I looked at, there was not one that was under $1,000. They were like $1,200 and up. Now, with that being said, I have not had a chance to play this guitar, as you saw in the video. I didn't play it. I'm sure it's great. So now I'm kind of left with a few choices. So I went ahead and put the guitar in my shopping cart on Guitar Center. But of course I didn't follow through, because right now is not the best time to purchase a guitar. Like I said, do I need another guitar? No. But let's be realistic. This is a guitar channel, and I love guitars, and if an opportunity is going to come where I can afford one and I can get one, then yes, I'm going to get it. Whether that means selling some guitars to gather the money up or whatever. But one thing that I will not do again, I will not put another guitar on a credit card. I won't do that. I've done that plenty of times in my life. And it's very tempting. It makes it very convenient. You just click of a button, boom, it's yours. It gets shipped to the house. But then you got to stay on top of those payments. And for me, my track record has been kind of average with that. It's not horrible, but there's times I forget. I'll make notes on my phone, on the calendar, and be sure to pay this payment, and that does pretty good. But still, man, life gets in the way for me, and it can be difficult sometimes. So I do have a Guitar Center gear card, their version of that, or their credit card, and it took me a long time before I could get one of those cards. I remember years ago, I would go into that Guitar Center in Greenville, and I would see something I wanted, and of course I didn't have the money, and the guy's like, well, you can apply for our credit card. And I was like, okay. And then I gave him information in like 5 seconds. Oh, sorry, no, they turned you down. And I was like, ugh. It was like that for, oh my God, it had to be 10 or 12 years that I dealt with that. And then about 4 years ago, things started to turn around. And the reason that is because I started to buckle down and pay off some debt and try to get my credit straightened out. And finally, I was able to get a Guitar Center gear card, which is nice. And I got a decent little limit on there. It's nothing crazy, but it's enough to get you in trouble. We'll just leave it at that. So, and I've used it. I've used that thing here and there. And like I said, it's very tempting, very convenient. And, so you have to exercise a lot of discipline. Again, back to the Fender Strat with Guitar Center deal here. I put it in my shopping cart. I don't know why I did that. I guess, well, I know why. So hopefully, in the next few weeks, maybe I can try to get it. So here's my plan, and I'll share this with you in case, it might help somebody out there. So, Guitar Center, I guess depending on what you're buying, they'll offer you a finance, kind of a special financing if you want that. Well, there's been times I bought stuff from Guitar Center and they said, okay, you have a year or 2 years interest-free, same as cash. You got this amount of time to pay it off before any interest kicks in. But the only thing they offered me with this Strat was 6 months. I said, nah, I don't, that's, 6 months isn't bad, but I just don't like having to deal with interest or the thought of interest coming into the equation at all. And the reason I say that is I've dealt with plenty of things in my life where I've had to deal with high interest. It's just part of having bad credit and a bad credit history. It's not that you can't get what you're going for, but you're going to pay a little more in the end. But the bottom line is you got what you were going for. So my thought process, is going to be this. Instead of using the Guitar Center credit card, I'll pay with it with PayPal. And with PayPal, here's the secret. They offer you a few different ways to pay for your purchase. One is, of course, you can apply for a PayPal MasterCard, but that's still the credit card route. Or you can, they'll say you can make 4 payments interest free. So there you go. That's how I would do it. Now, some people might say, well, why are you going to do it that way? Why don't you just pay for it up front? Well, for me, it's just easier to break something up into payments. That's how I've always got my gear over the years. I just can't walk in somewhere and say, well, here's $2,500. Let me go ahead and buy that. It doesn't work that way with me. I can't. I'm the only source of income in the family, so I have to spread things out. And that's fine. Everybody's different. But if you do the 4 payments with PayPal, when the first, you make the first payment when you order it right then and there, and that's the first payment. Now you only got 3 left, and it comes out like, I think the next payment comes like in 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. And so on and so forth. And every time a payment comes out, that comes out of your checking account, and you're done. You don't have to go back and say, oh, I need to make a payment on my card. I need to, before any interest kicks in or penalties, you don't have to worry about that. When the payment comes out, boop, it's over. And of course, after that 4th payment, you're done. You don't have to worry about nothing. And that's the route I would go if I were to get this guitar. A big if there. All right, we made it to get some fuel. Seems like the last video I made like this, we were getting fuel, wasn't it? We're at close to work. This is called the Swift Stop. And it used to be kind of a mini truck stop a couple of years ago, and then they just went ahead and tore the old building down, and all this over here is where they had the fuel pumps for the diesel. They cleared all that out, and that was truck parking all around, and they got rid of all that. So anyway, we're getting fuel here. Fuel it up in Little Red. It's $2.75. Not bad. Went up a little bit. So we're really close to the workplace. I just noticed a comment on the Guitar Center video. Again, thank you to everybody who is commenting on that video. And oh yeah, about $35 is what we're going to try to shoot for here. 35.01. Missed it by 1 cent. That's all right. But I received a comment saying that you parked far away from the store. Why is that? Well, it's an easy answer, really, man. I don't trust people. You go to it don't matter, a mall or a shopping plaza, a Walmart, grocery store. I never park in the middle of a parking lot where everybody else is parked or whatever. I don't do that. I purposely park further away to stay away from people, because if somebody dings up your door or, God forbid, backs into your car, or a shopping cart hits it or something, and you're inside shopping, well, you're not going to know that until you get out there and you notice it, and you're like, what the F happened to my car, and then the people are gone. They're not going to stick around and say anything. So that's just, that's why I park far away. Plus, I wanted to park kind of far away so I could get some good footage with the video. I could kind of, have a shot walking toward the building, and that, you got to think about stuff like that when you're making a video. All right, Little Red's back to full again. That's what we want to see. And you can see they're building a structure over here right across the way, and me and a couple of buddies of mine have been curious about what this might be, because there's no sign saying what it's going to be. Now, when I glance at it, it looks like it's going to be one of these, I don't know, where they might change your oil kind of deal, or maybe even a type of car lot or something. I mean, the property's pretty big that they're smoothing out over here. So I don't know. We will see. Curious. Put your thoughts in the comments. What do you think this structure is going to be? That's just what I think. Everywhere you look, man, there's development. There's stuff being built everywhere. Just even when I as my buddy Travis just passed, even when I go back to my old neighborhood, my old stomping grounds where I grew up, and nothing looks like it used to. Nothing ever does, but it's kind of sad. It just shows that, or proves to me that, man, you're getting older, man. Things are changing. But speaking of things changing, I will end on this note here for this video. I had an interesting comment again on the Guitar Center video earlier this afternoon, and I'll put a quick little screen recording right here when I walked up to a Epiphone Les Paul in Guitar Center, and I didn't notice it at first when I was actually filming in the moment. I didn't, you know, because I'm looking through a screen to make sure everything's in frame and focused and all that, and you know, you're multitasking really, and so I didn't see this until a couple of seconds later. Epiphone, that's a pretty color. $6.99. Ain't bad. Heritage Cherry Sunburst. Ain't bad. Standard. Oh my God, dude, what's the knobs, man? No wonder. They ain't gonna put no knobs on it. But that Epiphone only had one knob. It's supposed to have 4 and only had 1. And the other 3 knobs were missing. And I thought to myself, why in the world is it like that? Why is that like that, man? That's it shouldn't be that way, man. It shouldn't be that way. So I'm going to read this comment to you. I'm going to do my best and sorry, I'm backing into my parking spot here. Read this to you, and I'm just going to record the audio as I'm talking here. So if it's not the best quality, please forgive me for that. But you'll find this very interesting. I know I did. So here we go. The comment says, I went in my local Guitar Center one day and they had a brand new Gibson Les Paul Standard hanging on the wall with all 4 knobs missing. A couple of weeks later, they were still missing. I took them a set I had at home that had come off one of my new Les Pauls that I changed the knobs on, and they were exactly what they needed. I gave them to the clerk, who left them at the Guitar Tech station to have them put on. A week or 2 later, and they still haven't been put on the guitar. I was like, WTH, you have a customer bring you a free set of knobs that you needed for a nearly $3,000 guitar, and you're hoping to sell to a customer, and you can't even put these knobs on. And he goes on, and that's just crazy. He says, I hope Guitar Center survives and thrives, but sometimes I think I want it more than they do. So there you have it. A customer brings in 4 knobs to be put on a guitar that's on the stand for sale, and they do nothing about it. Guitar Center, that is, doesn't even make an effort. That just blew my mind. So that reminded me of the Epiphone Les Paul that I saw in the video I made last Sunday with the 3 knobs missing. And man, if I was the manager of that store, or any store, it don't matter, Guitar Center, whatever, and you got some product sitting out there and it's only half-ass, man, fix it. You know, do something to make it right. Don't leave it up there. Look at my video. There was, I think, what, 2 or 3 guitars that had the pickup selector switch, the blade, the little plastic knob that goes on there. They were missing. There was quite a few of those, and I'm like, and knobs are missing and all that. And I understand why they don't have any whammy bars on the guitars with Floyd Roses. I actually asked one time, and the guy said, believe it or not, that's one of the highest items, the highest stolen items. And I said, whammy bars? The guy said, yeah, people come in here and unscrew it and put it in their pocket because there's nothing attached to it to make the alarm go off. I was very shocked. But then when I went to the Guitar Center in Charleston, South Carolina, about two and a half years ago, all the guitars they had with Floyd Rose or, you know, those types of trims, they had whammy bars on all of them. But this one didn't. And I thought that was kind of odd. I need to go back and revisit that location and do a video on that. That location is small. It's very small. And it just looked like, it looked like a hurricane force wind came through that store, and there was just stuff everywhere. Like nothing was like organized. It just looked like a teenager's room. Like it was just a mess. And I don't know, man. I don't know if Guitar Center managers just aren't making no money, or they don't care, or it's like they're not hitting the mark. I'm like, man, straighten this stuff up. Tune your guitars up. Get the knobs on the guitars. Make sure everything is there. When a person buys a guitar with a Floyd Rose or whatever, make sure you have that whammy bar that goes with that guitar. I couldn't tell you how many times I went there and he says, oh, we don't have a whammy bar. I said, well, you need to find one that's got a Floyd Rose. I want my whammy bar. And they go through this little drawer with this Tupperware little bowl, and they're going through all these old whammy bars. I literally had one guy bring me one, and it had rust on it. It was black and had rust on it. And I said, man, no. Are you kidding? Folks, I'm not making this up. And, you know, I don't get paid to say nothing. I'm just telling you my personal experiences as a customer. So I love going to Guitar Center, and I'm not trying to talk a lot of smack here, but I'm going to tell the truth. If my experience is good, I'm going to talk about that. If it's poor, I'm going to talk about that. I think people need to know. You would think that Guitar Center, some of the I don't know, the CEO or somebody, regional managers, would see these videos and say, man, we need to make some changes in here and make things right. But I don't, you know, it hasn't happened yet. It's very bewildering to me. I don't understand that at all. But I need to get off this soapbox and get to work. I'm here. I need to get clocked in and go. Thank you so much for watching the video, y'all. I really appreciate it. Leave your comments below. What's your experience at Guitar Center? Is it good, bad, ugly? You know, I can imagine the types of comments are going to roll in here. But thank you so much for watching, and give us a subscribe if you like, man. If you like what you see, we'd love to see you back. Until next time, this is Joe. God bless. Keep rocking. All right. Bye-bye.